What might have been had you been vice president instead of J.D. Vance? What might have been had Kamala Harris been the president right now instead of Donald Trump?
Americans, lo and behold, like democracy and feeding their children. Yes, it was somewhat buffoonish, but I'm not quite certain that we're reading that right.
Welcome back to All-Star Buzz. Thank you for joining us, and let's begin. Tim Walz just had his first interview since losing the election, and it was with none other than Rachel Maddow. Let me tell you, it was painful to watch. He proved that Democrats haven't learned a single lesson from their embarrassing loss, not even a shred of self-reflection. Instead, they're doubling, no, tripling, down on the whole Trump is a dictator, fascist, and threat to democracy rhetoric. I've said it before, but Democrats are starting to sound like that crazy person on the street screaming, "The world is ending!" It's wild! As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel. But let's start with Tim Walz, perfectly illustrating my point. They're sticking to the same old playbook, and it's all about the boogeyman, Project 2025. Watch this!
Yeah, it's good to be back with you, Rachel. Great first segment, terrifying but accurate. You know what they're after, and it's not that we should be surprised by this. They laid it out in Project 2025, so here we are.
Well, actually, let me ask you about that on this point. A lot of people have been today and the last few days crediting your campaign and crediting all the reporting during the campaign that identified Project 2025 as essentially what looked like a blueprint for the incoming Trump administration to dismantle the American government. They denied it. They said they had nothing to do with it, said they'd never heard of it. Does it seem to you like that's actually what they're doing?
Oh, it is. It doesn't seem it is. We took it seriously, and I can tell your viewers tonight, governors and attorney generals took this seriously, and there was a lot of planning. There's a lot of good folks, smart folks, organizations. You talked about some of them that were out there preparing for this. But there's only so much planning you can do because of the impact it makes.
While the Democrat Party is in complete shambles, no leader, no message, and the lowest approval ratings in history, Tim Walz admits their only plan is to resist and fight Donald Trump's agenda. And get this, he brought it up unprompted. Rachel Maddow didn't even ask. He just dove right in. Here's what Trump has already done in his short time back as president. He signed executive orders to cut regulations and unleash energy production, ended the woke DEI nonsense in government, corporate America, and schools, and stopped radical gender ideology from being pushed on kids. He demanded all federal workers return to the office, launched a massive deportation campaign for illegal immigrants, which is hugely popular, and teamed up with Elon Musk to stop wasteful government spending. It's a total overhaul, and Democrats are scrambling. Democrats are furious, and they're back to demonizing Trump because in less than 2 weeks, he's exposed how intentionally they were ruining the country. And guess what? A few executive orders and some common sense governance are already turning things around. Oh, and I almost forgot. Trump turned the water back on in California. But if you listen to Gavin Newsom, he'd swear up and down that was a lie. There's no valve. There's no pump. Turns out there was a valve and a pump, and Newsom and the Biden administration shut it off. Now, this is where Tim Walz completely loses it. He starts spouting lies, saying, "You should have voted for him and Kamala because Republicans are trying to defund the police now." Watch this.
What do you think America's listening to you right now, thinking about what might have been had you been vice president instead of J.D. Vance? What might have been had Kamala Harris been the president right now instead of Donald Trump? People hearing you talking about the pushback and the fight and that mattering. What does that mean in practical terms? The average person watching you right now who agrees that this needs a big pushback, what should they do?
Yeah, and that overused term, the frog in the boiling water, we've been in the damn pot way too long. I think it is speaking up. It's thinking about your neighbors. It's writing and putting those members of Congress. Look, there is no spine amongst those folks, but this is real. This is, they're talking about defunding the police, things that they, puff their chests up and say they're good with, making the case. And I would let, to the voters, I'm with this too. Everybody's fatigued. Trust me, I get it. It was pure hell, and the disappointment and the frustration. And I'm, soul searching. What could we have done to make the case? Because we knew this was coming. We knew that the implications, and they're throwing so much at us that we're fatigued. We spent 3 days, debating, having them trying to debate that President Musk gave a Nazi salute. Of course he did.
Of course he went there. You can see how desperate they are when they bring up Elon Musk waving to a crowd and call it a Nazi salute. These people are degrading themselves. It's embarrassing. They're grasping at straws to make themselves feel right. The federal funding freeze was crystal clear. Even a third grader could understand it. But Democrats are lying through their teeth, claiming, oh, he's cutting Medicaid, Medicare, food stamps, Head Start, air traffic control, and the police. That's not true. The freeze was specific. No more money for programs that don't align with an America First agenda. That means no more $300 million for circumcisions in Africa, no more funding for divisive and racist DEI initiatives, and no more billions of taxpayer dollars lining the pockets of critical race theory activists. And here's the kicker. The hiring and funding freezes don't apply to essential services, public safety, or programs directly helping people. It's all about priorities, and Democrats hate it. But here's the thing. Democrats are banking on their supporters being so outraged that they don't care about the facts. They just want to be fed lies and propaganda. The reason Democrats are in shambles and stuck with this pathetic strategy is simple. They built their entire platform on anti-American ideas and values that are wildly unpopular. And guess what? The public rejected them. To move forward, they'd have to tear down their entire party and rebuild it from scratch. But that would mean admitting they were wrong. And they'll never do that. So, they're stuck in this endless loop of denial. And in true elitist fashion, Tim Walz is throwing a tantrum because he's not getting his way. Now, he's attacking dumb, stupid, poor red states.
And the deafening silence of Republican governors, these are my colleagues, some of them are my friends, but shame on you. You know what this is doing. And look, I come from a wealthy state that has the lowest childhood poverty rates, and we have a strong safety net. I guarantee you these Republican states would pay the price far more than us, and they're just silent on it. So we're going to need some courage. This is a long fight. This is ideologically everything you laid out. They want to destroy the federal government, this buyout of employees, because now they threaten them. It's here. The game is here. We knew it was coming. I don't know what people thought, that we were just speaking, that this wasn't going to happen. Donald Trump said, oh, I never heard of him. And now you got this guy Vote, that's at the heart of it. So look, it's on. I'm glad you said that. Governors are out there. The resistance is strong. You felt it. Americans, lo and behold, like democracy and feeding their children. So they're going to fight for these things.
It's like these people can't handle the fact that not everyone thinks like them. Shame on Republicans for not fighting for what I want. Meanwhile, the United States is $36 trillion in debt, running a $36 trillion in debt, running a $2 trillion deficit every year. More of our budget is being eaten up by interest payments, and Democrats refuse to address it. They live in a fantasy world where open borders are great. Boys can magically become girls, and pumping kids with irreversible hormones is no big deal. Nothing they stand for is rooted in reality. They're just running around in Looney Tunes land until the whole thing comes crashing down. And when it does, it's going to hit them like a ton of bricks. The United States can't survive this madness forever. They can't believe the rest of us are serious about fixing this mess. Cutting down on insane spending is a must. Sending $45 million for scholarships in war-torn Burma might sound noble, but not when things are falling apart here at home. That's why the America First agenda exists. But no, Tim Walz and Rachel Maddow are too busy trying to scare everyone, listing off a bunch of things they claim will get cut, even though none of it's true. They're just propagandists, and it's no wonder nobody watches MSNBC anymore.
The things they went after today are basically a big chunk of what society does, and people like to have clean water and hospitals and safety and roads and airports, all the things they're going after, and you summed it up. There's societies that function like this, where the rich and the oligarchs do everything, and there's some fabulously wealthy people who are are above the law, and the rest of us are here. And I think we have to find that voice. We have to push back. We have to be organized. We do have to use the courts. But I just want to caution everyone. I don't know what tends us to believe that Donald Trump cares what the courts say. I think there needs to be more to that. And I think it is taking it to the individual people. Show what each of these programs does and what it means to people's lives.
Yeah, no matter what people motivated anybody's vote, if you didn't think you were voting to cut firefighting, if you didn't think you were voting to cut meat inspections, if you didn't think you were voting to cut air traffic control, well, it's all becoming very, very clear right now.
It's like they forget people can fact-check their lies. They love to call MAGA supporters dumb and uneducated, but Democrats assume their own voters are so brainwashed and clueless that they'll believe anything. The outrage they've built against Trump is so intense, their supporters will swallow every lie without question. The only people still watching MSNBC are the ones who've completely bought into the propaganda. Anyone with a shred of common sense has already left the Democrat Party behind. That's why my strategy when debating Democrats is simple. I don't get lost in the weeds with stats, studies, or polls. They're all irrelevant. I go straight to common sense and logic. If you really think the President of the United States would cut food stamps or shut off health insurance for the elderly, you've lost all touch with reality. It's that simple. You've got no common sense if you believe that nonsense. And their whole "Trump is a racist, that's why he's cutting welfare" argument, it doesn't even hold up. More white people receive government aid than black people. So, if Trump is the racist they claim he is, why would he do something that hurts more white people than black people? It makes no sense. There's no logic, no common sense, just pure propaganda. That's why I'll tell you this. If you take one thing from me, it's to pick up my debate style. Don't get dragged into the weeds with Democrats. I don't care about the experts say, the studies show, or in college I learned this. Nope, I'm not dignifying their nonsense by engaging with it. I don't care if they claim the sky is green and the grass is blue. I'm not debating whether math is on a spectrum or why 1 + 1 might equal 3. It's ridiculous. Now, check this out. I found a hilarious video of a former Kenyan president mocking all the countries freaking out because the US stopped writing blank checks. Watch this.
People the other day crying, oh, I don't know, Trump has removed money. He said he's not giving us any more money. Watu wanalia. Why are you crying? It's not your government, it's not your country. He has no reason to give you anything. I mean, you don't pay taxes in America. He is appealing to his people. Shauri yenu bwana. This is a wake-up call for you to say, okay, what are we going to do to help ourselves? Instead of crying, tujiulize, what are we going to do? Haya, ametoa hiyo pesa, sasa tutafanya namna gani jameni? What are we going to do? Yeah? To support ourselves. Because nobody is going to continue holding out a hand there to give you. It is time for us to use our resources for the right things. We are the ones who are using them for the wrong things.
For the past 50 years, the United States has spent tens of trillions on foreign aid. The government has been siphoning money from American taxpayers and sending it across the globe, where most of it gets stolen by corrupt politicians. And what doesn't get stolen? It gets laundered right back. The world has been milking the US gravy train for way too long, and now it's over. Listen to what this Kenyan president said. What he said was pure common sense. Why is it so shocking that the United States should spend its wealth on its own citizens? We're the only country that doesn't prioritize its people, and that's why I truly believe Trump is going to usher in a golden era for America. For the first time, the power and wealth of the US will be used to benefit its own citizens. It's about time. But while Trump is working to make America great again, Joy Reid is out here being disgraceful and miserable. She's trying to blame the horrific plane crash in Washington, D.C. on Donald Trump. Can you believe that? It shows just how much hate she has in her heart. She's twisting herself into knots to connect this tragedy to Trump. Meanwhile, the New York Times reported that 80 to 85% of air traffic control towers are understaffed. How is that Trump's fault?
But let me ask you this, because we do know some things. There are some facts on the ground. We know that there's normally 2 people in that control tower. Obviously there is a shortage of people in that control tower. But these are the things we know for a fact. On January 20th, Donald Trump's FAA director resigned under pressure from Elon Musk. We know that same day, this was on Inauguration Day, Donald Trump froze air traffic controller hiring, along with all federal hiring. The Aviation Safety Advisory Committee was disbanded on January 22nd. The buyout demand, which is not really a buyout, trying to get people to resign in exchange for some vague promises to existing employees, went out January 28th. And on January 29th, the very next day, we had this crash.
They wouldn't be so short-staffed if they weren't rejecting qualified candidates because they're white. I'm not saying that's the only reason, but it's definitely a factor. And just like her equally dishonest counterpart, Rachel Maddow, Joy Reid is spewing lies. Air traffic control wasn't affected by Trump's hiring freeze or threats of firing. Think about it. Why would the president make the skies more dangerous? It doesn't make sense. Before we wrap up, I want to talk to you guys about a new series. I'm excited to announce something new on my channel. It's called Soapbox. These episodes are going to be different from my daily political commentary videos. Instead of shorter takes on multiple clips, Soapbox episodes will be longer, more detailed, and way more insightful. Think 10 to 11-minute deep dives into a single topic or issue that I find important or interesting. I dropped a video on Christmas called How Woke Ruined American Society, and that was the inspiration for this idea. I loved having the chance to really dig into a topic and give you guys a fresh perspective. These episodes will come out every 2 weeks or so, and I want your input. Let me know in the comments what topics you'd like me to cover. The comments with the most thumbs up, I'll definitely take a look and consider them. Yeah, so let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and turn on those notification bells so you never miss a video. Catch you in the next one!